All right, welcome everyone. I hope you enjoyed that little intro video. Folks in the community were really nice to produce that for us. This is Campfire number 50 with David here with us. And so we're going to celebrate pretty much. We're going to celebrate a ton of stuff. We're going to celebrate David's accomplishments. We're going to celebrate that we have a new intro and outro videos. So if you stay until the end, you'll see our outro video. Yeah, we're going to celebrate Campfire number 50. Who would have thought? That's huge. Oh, and say a few things again, David. I don't know if you're live.
Yeah, I'm
Oh, yeah,
here.
perfect. All right, we can
Happy
hear
to be
you.
here, and number 50, here we are.
So for everyone watching, you're probably on either Facebook, LinkedIn, or YouTube. And this is a stream where we're going to talk with David about your journey, but we are also going to answer your questions. So don't hesitate. Use the chat on either of those three platforms, LinkedIn, YouTube, or Facebook. We'll see it here, and we'll be able to answer any question that you may have about David's journey or about Nucamp. All right. With that said, David, thank you so much for joining and being our 50th guest. We'd love for you to introduce yourself, if you don't mind.
You bet. All right. Well, thank you so much for having me, Ludo. I appreciate it. I'm really happy to be here. I didn't know I'd get to be guest number 50, so that's really cool. I don't think I did anything special to be number 50, but we'll take it.
All right.
So my name is David, and I'm really happy to be on the show today. I am a QA test engineer and also an instructor for Nucamp. And I've been through a pretty big journey. I didn't start out in the tech industry. I started out as a teacher and changed my career over after quite a ways into that career. So just here to share that experience and talk with you.
Awesome. So where are you joining us from?
I am in Waco, Texas right now.
Right.
So middle of the state, middle of Texas.
Perfect. And I want to say hi to a few folks in the community that are joining us right now. Tyler, hello, how are you? Krista is here. It's a party. Yes, it is. This is Drew from Nucamp, 50th episode coming with the heat. And I think Krista helped with the video graphics that we had at the beginning. Speaking of those videos, dope intro graphics. Yes, indeed. Thank you for noticing. So, and we have also Esteban from Dallas, Texas. Awesome. Right. Great to see everyone. So, David, let's start from the beginning. And I really like to always go back to your primary education. I will say, what did you study after high school? Where did you go to college? Which field were you kind of destined to go into after high school?
Sure, that's a big question, and it took a while. I didn't grow up in Texas. I grew up in Alaska, which is kind of a pretty different place. But I went to Abilene Christian University in Texas, so that's one of my connections here. When I got to ACU, I really wasn't quite sure what I wanted to study at first. I really always loved a lot of different topics. I've always been interested in technology and science and mathematics, but I love learning in general, and I like being in front of people, and I like working and teaching. So after a while, I decided, I switched majors a couple of times, but I decided I wanted to be an educator. I wanted to be a teacher. And so my program was actually an education program. So I went through the whole education department, did that for my entire bachelor's degree, and got out with a teaching certificate so I could go into the teaching field. And I was going to start off I started teaching elementary even. So that was my whole path throughout college. I had a lot of friends that were in the physics department and the math department and the computer science department, and spent a lot of time with them in the labs. But thought that I wanted to well, I did. I wanted to be a teacher, and so
So from
that's what I
a
went through.
from an educator to another educator, I love a one word in this field, which is the word pedagogy. And I try to use it as often as I can, but obviously there's not a lot of discussions, conversation where when you actually can squeeze pedagogy. So I'm actually glad that I've already said it twice with you. That's
Yeah,
and I remember when I was actually at Microsoft, when I was creating programs, education programs, I used that word, and it always had kind of an effect because some people were like, pedagogy, what is that? And so people, forcing people to go look it up, and that's trying to be a scientist of science of education
yeah,
scientist, I guess.
exactly. Yeah, there's a lot that goes into it, trying to figure out how to help people learn the best, and there's a lot to it. So, yeah.
That's right. And we have actually a few folks from from Texas right now. Uh, Tyler is actually
Cool.
went to Baylor in Waco,
Oh, all
and
right.
then Drew from Georgetown, Texas. Awesome. And Anuja, hey Anuja, not from Texas, but and awesome intro graphics. So you were a teacher for how many years then, and which levels were you teaching at?
I taught for 10 years in total, actually, which when I say that out loud, it seems kind of strange. I don't know how that all went by. But I've actually taught several different levels. I've taught everything from second grade to eighth grade. Eighth grade, I've taught general education, but mainly I've taught mathematics and science at the secondary level. So for grades 6, 7, and 8.
Gotcha. 10 years. And I also want to remind people, since it's episode 50, and I've done that once and it was pretty successful. Anyone who's going to follow that link right here, url.nucamp.co/dialin, get on the stage with David and I, will get a t-shirt or a sweater from Nucamp. So if you click that link or follow that link, I don't think you can actually click it, but write it down, nucamp.co/dialin. And if you join us and you ask your question, we'll figure out a way to send you a Nucamp sweater or t-shirt or something similar. Like we have a mug now as well. So just saying. Oh, okay. Wow. Texas apparently is super popular. San
Yeah,
Antonio
a lot of
for
people in
graduation.
Texas.
Awesome. So 10 years teaching kids. I mean, you must have liked it, right? You must have enjoyed it, I'm guessing, to last this long. What made you reconsider this career?
Oh, goodness. What a big question. um, teaching, teaching is something that I am passionate about, and education is something that I believe in and that I am still passionate about. And it's one of the reasons that I'm an instructor with Nucamp, because I just love to do it so much. So it was a pretty big journey. I, initially started out with teaching and got a little bit disenchanted right at the beginning. It wasn't quite what I thought it was going to
Mhm.
be. I don't know if you've ever talked to any other educators, but education is hard. There are a lot of difficulties in the field. I'm not going to get into all that on here, but it's a challenging role. So as I got into it, I had some challenges and I had to work through those, and I tried different subjects and grade levels, and I came to a point where I was happy doing it, and I liked what I was doing, and I was working on getting better. But I found over and over that I just wasn't, I don't know, I wasn't engaged with it as much as I really wanted to be, and I found myself being pulled more and more into coding, into tech, and into wanting to find myself changing over. In fact, I think probably one of the things that started me off, there's a program or this idea called the Hour of Code. I don't know
Oh
if
yeah,
you're familiar with it. Have you
yeah,
heard of
yeah,
that before?
absolutely. Yeah, yeah.
In schools all around the world, they try to introduce coding for kids and help them get excited and learning about coding. And I didn't know anything about it, but one of my first years teaching, the school that I was working at had this big program, and they wanted to do it. And I learned all about it, and I didn't know much, but I set my kids onto this website to start playing games that helped you learn to code. And I found myself, after the kids were out of the room, getting on the website and going, I want to play through all these levels. And I think I played through, every single level that they had through for the kids to start learning coding, and decided, man, maybe I need to start looking into this.
Oh, that's cool.
I've had friends that have been into coding, and I have lots of other people that I know that are in this field, and I've always been interested, but just something like that kind of started me going.
Oh yeah, that makes so you really started to discover coding while you were teaching your kids. Did you have any knowledge or interest in coding before that, or what was it really the moment when you first discovered it, and along with with your students?
There was a little bit when I was younger. When I was a kid, I had a friend who was, really into tech and into computers, and one time he showed me a little bit of HTML.
Yeah.
And then I spent a few weeks afterwards just enthralled by that, and trying to. I think I tried to make a website about dragons because I thought those were really cool at the
That's
time.
cool.
Yeah, didn't get very far and got pretty stuck and didn't really know what to do with it at the time. But I think that was probably my first introduction to it, if I'm being honest.
That makes sense. So, what was your journey? So you're starting to discover a new interest. I don't know if it was a passion at the time, but definitely an interest in coding. What was your journey from having that discovery about yourself and what you like, and getting into the field and learning to code, and thinking about a career transformation? Like, did you spend more and more time online learning on your own? I mean, how describe to us that journey from the moment where you realize, oh, I like that, and when you made another big decision at some point, right, to be even more serious about that.
Yeah, that was a hard journey. Just because I think for a very, very long time, as interested as I was, and as much fun as I was having, and as engaged as I was, I just always had a hard time believing that I could do it, that I could make something out of it.
Yeah.
For a very, very long time, it was just, I'm spending all my time on this, or I'm doing this with all my free time, but it's just a hobby. I don't think I could ever, this is for really smart people, not necessarily for me. But I think I just started doing anything I could. So I would find websites that had, free content or free materials, whether you talk about, those websites that my kids were using in the classroom, or other free resources like Free Code Camp or Khan Academy. There's
Yeah.
tons of websites out there.
The
But I
Oregon
would
Project. Yeah, and all
yeah.
that.
So I would just find something. I would find a course, and I would just dive in and get through it, even if a lot of times I didn't understand half of what was going on. But I would dive into one thing, try to get as far as I could, and dive through another thing. I'd look up YouTube videos that had tutorials. I would, now and again, I'd maybe go to Udemy and buy little courses once I got more interested in other topics. So that progressed for a while that way. But yeah, I saw you were going to say something.
No, there's something with the audio. Like sometimes maybe if you touch your cable, it
Oh,
just did a weird noise, but it's gone now. So
gotcha.
maybe don't touch your cable or something, or I don't know.
You got it. No, I'll stay
So
away.
it's interesting. You were really wondering if you had the capacities, or the pretty much the capacity to learn to code, and while you were doing it, and you were at that time a teacher for mathematics and science,
Hmm.
which for many, many people, I don't know if you know that, but many people who are also wondering if they have what it takes to have a career in tech, the first question they're going to have often is, well, I don't know much of math, I don't like math, or I don't know that I have enough math background to be successful. You had all that, right? You had all that, and yet you still felt like maybe that wasn't for you. Which for everyone out there, I mean, math is not a critical skill to have to be successful in that field. Knowing logic and being a
Yes.
logical person which is different than math. I mean, of course, if you're a logical person and
Yeah, they
you
kind
know
of go.
to think logically, you're going to be more successful, but you don't necessarily have to really know a lot of math. So how many months would you say you spent learning on your own through all those websites,
Oh
if you
goodness.
can recall?
More than months. It was years. I think
Oh, really?
Yeah, I think I first really started becoming interested uh, maybe 2015 or 2016 at that time frame, and I would just do a
Yeah.
little, do things here and there. As I continued and as I was learning, I eventually got certified to teach computer science at the high school level. So I got so interested,
Oh,
I
nice.
yeah, I took a small, not a class, but there was a program that uh, the district I was working in had. So I took that program. I got certified to teach. Took a test so that I could add that to my certification list. And after that, I really started picking up on it a bit. So I would talk to my friends who I already knew that were in the computer science field, and I would ask them for ideas on what to learn or maybe what projects to try, and I would do little things like that. Um, as it got a little bit more serious, I started trying to branch out and do other things. One time, one year when I was teaching, my schedule was horrendous, and I couldn't keep track of it. I had a big poster on my wall with all the various times, and they weren't normal. Instead of like a regular every 30 minutes or every hour, it was just very strange times. So at 9:22, go do this, and
Oh,
at
yeah.
10:43, then this class happens. So I thought I'd make an app that would help me for that.
Oh,
And
cool.
I still didn't have a lot of coding skills, but I think I used Xcode for making an app on an Apple device.
Yeah.
Got that to work on my phone, and just continued to build more and more skills, or tried to, as I kept getting more and more interested in it.
Oh, that's great. We have a question that I'm going to take from Rosalie, but before I want to ask you some follow up questions to that one. So, um, you learned enough to be able to teach your students. I'm curious, what was the level of that class? Like, what were you teaching? Python, HTML. What was it exactly that you were teaching, or maybe more fundamental things about computer science, like algorithms, data structures? What was it? I'm kind of
So
curious.
that's basically, I never got to teach that class as a class in and of itself.
Oh yeah.
Unfortunately, there aren't very many districts who have programs that involve computer science. So
Mm.
I looked and looked, and wasn't very successful in the districts that I was in for finding that, but was
Oh, I
always
see.
trying to incorporate it into my own teaching or just into after school programs that I was involved with. But yeah, it mainly focused on fundamentals, and very, very low levels of learning uh, basic programming paradigms, or what a variable is, or what
I see.
just very simple structures like that.
So algorithms mostly, and what you would expect in a pure computer science class, right? We're starting
Yeah.
with that, with those fundamentals. We have Didi, who's joined. Didi, for me to bring you onto the main floor, I would love to see your camera on. It's kind of a precaution that takes. One time I didn't do that, and it was kind of weird experience. So Didi, please switch on your camera. Otherwise, I won't be able to bring you onto the main floor. I want to bring in Rosalie's question now.
Sure.
That really relates, and I don't know that we can see it fully. I have it here, so I'll finish the question. Teacher here for 22 years, teaching computer science to young adults, but no wanting to shift career to coding full time. Roller coaster of emotions being between leaving or staying. What advice would you give to someone who wants to shift? And so I have the shift careers in their late 40s.
Wow.
So what would you like to tell Rosalie about her situation?
Sure, I'll do my best. First of all, that's amazing to be teaching for 22 plus years and to be teaching computer science. First of all, that's you've got an amazing background. You've got an amazing set of knowledge and skills that are going to, transfer perfectly over to what you'd like to do. Um, it is a big emotional roller coaster, and it is a hard decision. There are times when I, consider my decision, and think about that a lot. For me, it was, I think it was more clear. I was coming home from teaching, feeling exhausted every day, uh, just realizing that it just wasn't the profession for me. It left me very, very drained.
Yeah.
I enjoy being around people, and I enjoy teaching and working, but it's something that takes a lot out of me. Trying to do it every day for 10 years made me realize that it just wasn't what I wanted to do for the next 20 or 30 years.
That makes sense. I'll add one thing, which is kind of the Nucamp point of view. Rosalie is wondering if she should leave or stay. One thing to consider is you could do both. You could stay
That's true.
and learn. And with our programs, we are so New Camp is part time. It's really very much evening and weekends, which actually will work perfectly with a teacher's schedule, I will think. So my advice will be following what you just said. Don't leave in a sense. Keep your compensation, keep your income, but then join if you. I don't know if you're in New Camp already, but join a part-time program like ours that will really help you consolidate your knowledge. And then once you find another job, that's when you leave. That would be my 2 cents on this one. Um, Andalon, you're not late. That's okay. So it's just a stream, but you can watch it from the beginning if you want. And we're here with David, having a conversation about his experience from being a teacher to getting a job to becoming another teacher, but for New Camp. So it's kind of interesting, kind of a circle here. So you actually and we have an answer from Rosalie. Awesome. All right. Well, we're looking
Oh,
forward to
cool.
seeing you, Rosalie. And yeah, don't quit. Don't quit. Do keep your job and then learn at the same time. Well, actually, great segue. Is it what you did personally? Where when you joined New Camp, and it was in 21, right? Oh no, it was in 2020.
Yeah, just at the end of that year. So I think it was December at the
Yes,
end of
that's right.
2020.
December. I can see that. Yeah. So
So yeah,
did you kept your teaching gig and then joined? Yeah.
absolutely. Yeah. No, and I think that's excellent advice. It's really hard to leave your income when you're trying to learn something new, and it took a long time for me to get from learning to being able to do something with that. So
Yeah.
I would recommend to keep going in your job, and I was able to do that. I was able to teach during the day, and in the evenings I would come home and do all of my study and coding practice, and that worked out pretty well for me.
Dina, thank you for joining. I can see your video. I'm going to bring you onto the floor. Make sure that you have your other YouTube or LinkedIn tab closed so that there's no echo. I just have one more question for you, David. And then, Dina, you'll be onto the floor with us. So, you actually made a ton of progress learning on your own. You built an app. You were able to load that app on your phone. It seemed that you were what I will call a successful self-taught person. What made you decide to go to a coding boot camp, right? What was the thing that really made you think, well, I really need that?
It's a good question, and it's one of the reasons that I love to talk about Nucamp and to promote it when I get the chance, because doing something formal and setting yourself up for a class, at least for myself,
Mhm.
is a necessary part of it. And I think I knew that as a teacher. I knew,
Yeah.
I need some formal instruction in this. But at least for myself, although I can learn by myself, it's hard. It's hard to stay on one path. I'm the type of person that tends to just branch out. I'll learn about one thing, and then this thing comes along, and that thing comes along, and so I tend to not be as focused as I could be, and it's hard to be consistent. I just have a very difficult time setting myself down with a schedule and continuing on something that that I really want to do, even though I want to do it. So having something more formal, having a class, having there be an instructor who's looking at my work, having there be other people, a community where I'm going to be able to talk to folks, having there be due dates and something that I'm invested in. I've paid money for this, and
Yeah.
I'm a lot more engaged. So I knew that for me, I needed that. I needed all of that structure to really help me get through and to solidify the things that I already knew, to teach me the things that I hadn't made yet, those connections that I hadn't made yet, and also so that I could show future employers that I have something, that I've
Yeah.
been through this program, and I think that's very valuable as well. So
That makes
lots
sense.
of reasons, and I could probably talk about that a long time, but
Well, we're going to continue to do that. But first, I want to bring in Dina. All
Yes,
right.
hi.
Hello, Dina. How are you?
hi
I'm
there.
doing great. Hi there.
There we go. Perfect now. Thank you for joining. Would you mind introducing yourself?
Yeah, my name is Dina. I live in Los Angeles, and I'm looking forward to join the boot camp. I've been looking at several boot camps from different companies, different academies, and for some reason, this is the one that it's more detailed. Because I look like crazy syllabus where it's nothing but wording, and I'm like, oh my god, this is so boring. But I guess the way that is very interactive and the constant emails explaining everything about the course, and I believe that this is the one.
Thank you. Well, really appreciate. So, did you sign up already, and when do you start?
No, I haven't started yet. I'm planning on starting on the 20th of February.
Okay.
For the
Yeah.
I have no knowledge of
That's exciting.
so I'm starting with the fundamentals.
Yeah.
All right.
That's pretty cool. Do you have a question for me or David?
Pretty much the only question that I have is once you graduate, I know like it takes different times for people depending on how you interview, but what is the most thing that you recommend after you're done with the program?
Sure.
Well, do you wanna give your answer, David, to that question, and then I'll complement. I'll give you my.
Sure. However you'd like to do it. Absolutely. First of all, it does take time. For me, it took quite a while of continuing to learn and continuing to work and just job searching. That process just takes time. But I would say that for me, one of the things that I was trying to work on during that time was I had built kind of a lot of little projects here and there, both small tutorials and some of my own things, and through the Nucamp course. And what I needed was a place to put that all together. So when I was done with my time, at least learning at Nucamp, I spent my time trying to build up a portfolio page and to get all my projects in there, and also trying to just get my, start networking, start my LinkedIn stuff, start, working on all those other things. Oh, hey, you pulled it up.
Yeah, I did.
Yeah. So that's what I spent a lot of my time doing after the Nucamp boot camp was over with, was trying to get all of those things set up and just continue my learning, because I still, to this day, I don't consider my journey over by any means. There's always more to learn and more to do.
Right.
Yeah. So, and I'm pulling David's website. It's a portfolio website where you're listing you're presenting yourself and you're listing the work that you're doing. Dina, this is, I will pretty much reinforce what David has said. The risk and the thing that you absolutely do not want to do is, after graduating, because it's been so long and so hard, to actually take too much time off and only do a job search, where actually what you have to do is job search and continue to code. There is something about showing that you're continuing to commit code to GitHub, and you'll learn about GitHub and what that means, but pretty much showing that you are continuing to invest in your skills and continuing to build things. So that's really very important. And then what will actually help you with and describe is the importance of networking and the importance of engaging with others, differentiating yourself by reaching out and telling your own story. In the path that you're taking, we invite you to graduate with honors, for example, which is an invitation for you to record a video of your project.
Okay.
That really is training you to talk about yourself. Talk about yourself, what you've created, the challenges that you faced, how you solve them. And that's very much really preparing you to have a conversation with a potential employer about why they should hire you. But yeah, it's in a way it's not over. It ain't over until it's over, right? So it's not because you graduated that you can actually take a break. Maybe you can, like a week, but you really want to continue to hammer down your coding skills and build your networking muscle, I will say.
Okay, so the honors program pretty much is for you, once you're done with the program, I guess you have to have good grades, and then on top of that, kind of like showcase your work. Like, because I went into your website and I noticed that there's some students that put their final project for front end and back end, and I think that's really good because other coding programs, they don't have that. And so I was kind of like hesitant about joining them, because at the very end, it's coming out of my pocket. And
Yeah.
so I want to make sure that I get all the tools that I'm going to need to learn.
Yeah, so exactly, and I'm putting it right now. I love all your questions, It kind of gives us an opportunity to kind of show what we wanted to discuss. So, portfolio project is important. Your web page that you saw. So, we talked about David's here, his website, and then what you're referring to is what I called, the videos of your project, which is here we have the library of all. So these are the honors projects. So these are the students who specifically went the extra mile and recorded a video about their projects. Now, every student is expected to have a project, but not every student goes the extra mile of recording that project in a video and doing what's here. But yeah, you will have the opportunity to do that. And as you can tell, there's a ton of students who did that before. It could also, some of them could be an inspiration for you. But it's often fun to look at those and see what the students have done, and it keeps on going.
That's one of the things I really love about Nucamp is they have this project that you build throughout the time. There's something so valuable about building those projects, because there's so much to learn, there's so much to do, and there's just nothing like a project and being stuck and learning to get through it and find the tools that you need and using the tools that you've been learning that really help you to grow as a coder.
That's right. All right. Hey, Dina, thank you so much for joining. Very much
You're welcome.
appreciate your questions. Good luck. We're going to see you very soon then on our Discord server.
Okay, sounds
All right,
good.
take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.
Oh, Dina, actually,
Yes.
before you leave, I was going to forget. I don't know if you caught that at the beginning, but we're going to try to get you a sweatshirt, a t-shirt or a sweater, a Nucamp one. So send an email to send an email to studentadmin@nucamp.co. I'll type it here. Studentadmin@nucamp.co. Say, hey, I'm Dina. I registered for the February 20th date. Um, I was just on Campfire with Ludo and David, and he told me I could get a shirt or a sweater from Nucamp, and we'll try to get that out to you. Okay.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
All right. Take care. We have Lou as well joining us. Lou, for me to bring you onto the floor, I will need to see your video. So there we go. All right. So we're gonna get to the thread, and then Lou, I'll bring you in about 5 minutes if you don't mind, because there's a bunch of people here.
All right.
All right, and we're seeing that the Diary of Daniel. So Daniel, I guess, also lives in LA. But yeah, the community that we have is pretty helpful. And then Krista, I don't know if your honor certificate. Oh, that's not there you go. Is mine on there? So Krista is an honor recipient as well. I don't know if yours is there. You'll have to tell us. Look it up. Tell us if it's there. Maybe it is. And then we have Madison also commenting on the honors project and how hers was also accepted. And I wonder, I don't know if it's published as well. You'll have to tell me.
I love what you said at the end there. Shows what you're capable of. That's awesome. That's a great way to think about it.
Exactly. Did you go, David, for the honors project?
Yeah, I did. Let's see. I think I did the recording. Yeah, no, I think I did, but it's been so long. I don't think I'm.
Yeah,
I don't even know.
It'll be interesting. I'm browsing it. Okay. All right. So you were pretty successful at being self-taught, but yet you really were looking for the structure, right? You were looking for,
yes.
As an educator, you knew that having a structure was meaningful and also was going to help you to get into tech. Tell us about your experience. So you're enrolled, you have a full-time job. Tell us about, and you did full stack, right?
Yes, that's right.
That's all we had actually at the time. I think that's all we had was full stack. So tell us about your experience. Did you start with web development fundamentals as well, or did you go straight to full stack?
I went straight to the full stack. So I started with the Bootstrap course and then went up to React Native, and the backend.
All right.
or
So
the yeah.
tell folks about the roller coaster of a journey that I'm sure you had.
Sure.
And was React your first introduction to React, the React course, or did you dabble into it before?
No, so luckily, it was a big roller coaster. There was a ton of things to learn. I spent a lot of time on it, and I was very, very fortunate. And this is, I'll get into this. This is something I talk to my current students about a lot. The React portion is hard, and I was really, really lucky, or very fortunate in this case. I had a friend, and years before that I had started the boot camp, I had a friend that told me, "Hey, React is this is the thing, this is the framework that people are going to, and if your next project, you need to do this, you need to try this out."
Mm-hmm.
So I spent a very long time hitting my head against a wall, trying to figure out React, watching YouTube videos and following along, but never really understanding exactly what I was doing.
Yeah.
But because I had I had all these hours spent trying to understand it, I actually felt really successful going through the course, because as I went through it, things just for me were, this is why, it was clicking really well for me. But that course is a hard one. If it's your very, very first experience with React, that's tough. And I try to talk to my students before they get to that one ahead of time to keep practicing JavaScript, to let me know if they want to look at it ahead of time, because that's tough to do if you've never seen it before.
That's right. And I think you actually had the hardest version of that course before we introduced hooks into it. So you had the Redux version of React, which is an extra layer of difficult, I would say. Lou, we're going to bring you onto the floor and have a conversation with us. And I wonder if you could maybe change your camera a little bit so that we could, because we're seeing a ton of your wall right now, but not so much of your face, if that makes any sense. Can you see us? All right, we can see you now. Can we hear you? That's the other question. How are you doing, Lou?
Yes. Good. How are you?
Oh,
pretty good. Yeah, we can hear you. Awesome. Would you mind introducing yourself?
Yes. So my name is Lou, and I live in the San Francisco Bay Area. And I am a graduate of Nucamp Front End.
Cool.
Which is great. But I took the course during the pandemic, and then I was hired in this kind of manic job. And so I was not really able to keep up with my skills. So I wondered if you could give me some advice on how to get back on board, even something like a no coding app site.
Oh, I see. So the job you got during the pandemic had nothing to do with coding, I guess.
Correct.
I see. So you graduated front end, went the different direction, didn't touch it. So you graduated when, in 2020?
Yes.
Okay, it's been 3 years. Well, let me ask you this. Did you enjoy it? Did you like coding? Do you think that's something you would really want to get back into?
I would like to do it more as a side hustle, rather than a full-time, especially for nonprofits. I would like to do coding for free for nonprofits, or for very low amounts of money.
So when you do front end and you learn React, you learn Bootstrap, JavaScript, it's typically for heavy lifting engineering and full-time positions. What you've learned, though, is you've learned, the HTML concept, the JavaScript concept. You've learned the DOM concepts. What I would say, if you really want to kind of do that as a hobby or side hustle, I will orient yourself. I think you're right. The no-code space, which is rarely absolutely no-code, but I would, go to WordPress and all the other websites. I can't remember, Square
Wix,
or all the other websites that kind of make it easier for you to build websites.
Okay.
Because I know a ton of businesses that, and I think you're writing down something, and we can hear it.
I am.
I can hear the script.
You know what? This is going to be on YouTube later on, so maybe you don't actually need to write it. But but there's a ton of businesses that are going the WordPress route or the no-code route, and then all of a sudden they hit a wall because they're like, dang, I really want to do something that I cannot do anymore. And it could lead in two directions. It could lead to, hey, I actually know how to do that. You don't, but I do because I know HTML, I know JavaScript, I know CSS, and you can help them. And that's just fine. Or it could actually lead to a bigger project where they actually come to realizing that what they want and what they really need, the website they're using can't really do that.
Right.
And oftentimes it's going to be, hey, I actually need a backend. I really do. Like I have orders and I can't keep doing it the way it's done right now. And so that's actually sometimes can translate into an actual full-blown project that you may or may not want to help with. But I think definitely going the no-code route for you, especially if you have no high expectations of compensation, could be where you would provide the most value. I will also still recommend to refresh your skills.
Yeah.
But do that, I guess, in the context of those no-code environments. Right? So take an online course for WordPress, for example, or take a no-code course for Zapier, or things like that.
Zapier?
Yeah, it's a more of a backend API related. I don't know if it's going to be helpful, but Zapier is actually a fantastic no-code environment. More on the backend, which may not be what you've learned, but it's kind of a drag and drop backend in a way. That still requires good knowledge of coding because you actually need to understand what an API does. Yeah.
Yeah, and I'd say, all of your skills are going to help you as you start to do things. They're going to start coming back to you. It may just take time, but they'll absolutely come back. The other things that I maybe would advise is if maybe go and find that organization, find that nonprofit that you're really, really passionate about, and maybe see what their stuff looks like already. See what does their website look like right now. A lot of organizations, a lot of companies, they may not have the resources, or they may just not have ever put in the time to make something for their website. Maybe it doesn't look very good. And so you can even take it on as yourself as like, I'm going to take their website and I'm going to do it the way I would do it. And then you can go to them and have something to show them, which can be really cool too.
Yeah, that's a good idea. Thank you. Now, Ludo, the Zapier, how would I spell that?
It's ZAPP, I think. IER. Either double P or one P. I think it's double P. Let me actually look it up real quick.
Thank you.
Zapier.
I think it's one P.
It may not be appropriate, to be honest with you, because it's one P.
Okay.
Because it's very much automation of backend. So I don't know if that will work, but it's a pretty cool.
Good.
Yeah.
I want to dip my toe in the water of backend.
All right. Hey, Lou, it's been a pleasure talking to you. Love your accent.
Thank you. Yours too.
Someone with an accent to a person with an accent. I love it. Good luck with your next steps. And glad we were able to catch up actually after so many years.
Yes. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Bye.
I have to bring that comment from Krista. Yeah. That's a good way to get compensated for your work.
There you
go. Free car washes. Yeah. That's pretty cool. We're going to go back to your journey, David, but I want to bring Esteban as well. It's actually great to see all the people that are joining. And I forgot to tell Lou. Lou, if you still hear us, email studentadmin@nucamp.co to get a free shirt with a Nucamp logo on it. All right. So, and we have Razikata. Hey, yes, 50. How about that, huh? All right, Esteban, I'm going to bring you onto the floor. How are you doing?
Hello, how's it going? Doing good, thank you.
Good.
Hi there.
How's it going?
So, pleasure to see you. Would you mind introducing yourself?
Yes, my name is Esteban. I'm here from Dallas, Texas.
Oh, cool. Someone else from Texas.
Yes, and I pretty much have about 5 years experience in desktop support, and so now I just want to transition into web development. I've been studying on my own for about a little bit over a year.
That's
just
good.
doing Udemy courses. I mainly Udemy courses, and I try Scrimba also. And I just felt like I try to do my own projects, but it seems like I'm kind of struggling on that, and so that's when I decided to start off with Nucamp. I'm gonna be starting in next month in March.
All
So,
right.
and just for that structure, and also, and hopefully, I could get some help, how to get my own project started as well.
That's pretty cool. Yeah, I mean, if you heard David, that's one of the reasons why people join us. Well, first, it's great that you have that much experience. I mean,
Mhm.
learning on your own first really can help your journey,
Mhm.
Mhm.
and it's really great that you're going to join us in March. Do you have a question for David or I?
I guess just more because I've been working on my portfolio, and I got my portfolio, I guess, ready, completed with some few projects, but most of them are just tutorial projects, and it's not my own projects, and I'm pretty sure that's what
Yeah,
companies will be looking for. So I
yeah.
just wanted to ask, is Nucamp somehow help students, get our own project started, or how do y'all help us out with that?
Yeah. Well, David, you want to talk about that? I think you mentioned that you really enjoyed the learning project. You want to talk about the learning project and then your own project?
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. So you will absolutely make a project with Nucamp, and you'll go through several iterations of it. And the thing that's really cool is you get a chance not only to work by yourself, but you get a chance to to work with other people too. So there's other
Mhm.
people in your cohort. You can all share the ideas that you're having. You can bounce off of each other, and you've got an instructor that usually is willing to get on and and help you tackle some of the problems you have. I had a couple of different ideas. I went through a few different iterations. I think the blinds from my room are
It's
hitting
actually
my
pretty
face.
cool.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's it right
yeah,
there.
that's
Like
great. That's
Don't
great.
worry about it.
I'm
I'm kind
like
of
a
jealous
disco
because
right here.
I'm jealous because it tells me that you have the sun coming
Yeah,
through. Yeah,
just
which is not
noticing.
something we have very often here in Seattle, but that's okay.
Oh, well, yeah, we've we've got a lot here, but yeah,
Although
no,
today is
Yeah.
pretty nice. But go for it. Sorry.
no,
We're
no, you're good. But there's a good opportunity to make those projects and to rework them. I started with I think just like a simple front end website, something that was very plain. And then when I got into the React Native course, I was really intrigued by the app development, and I decided to do an entirely different thing and have like an application that could randomly select students because I was still in teaching mode, and I wanted this app that could make random groups of teams. So I spent a
oh,
long
Got it.
time making that. Um, so, anyways, you'll have the opportunity to make things. You could make more than one thing, or you could reiterate kind of over and over on the same thing, building it in different frameworks, but maybe improving upon it every time or attaching more things to it. So there's a lot of experience that you'll get there while you go through the program.
Awesome. Cool.
yeah, that's
That's
awesome.
that's
And if you want to rewind what we showed earlier, Esteban,
Mhm.
all the projects that students have been working on, it's on our website, so you can have a look at that.
Yeah.
Thanks,
Got it.
Esteban, for joining. Send an
Thank you.
email to studentadmin@nucamp.co to get a free shirt or sweater from Nucamp, okay?
Awesome. Thank you. Appreciate it.
All right, take care.
Bye.
Nice to meet you.
David, I want to spend time talking about your transition because, I mean, it's great. You've joined Nucamp, you went through the
Yeah.
program, you had a good time, I think. Tell us about what happened after that. And I want to, tell us what happened after that. How long did it take you between graduating to getting the job? Tell us about the job hunting phase, the
Sure.
ups, the downs, I'm sure, but tell us all about this.
Yeah, no, that was another big part of the journey, and it was hard because now I'm out of the boot camp. I'm not quite sure what to do next. I'm looking for jobs. I'm still teaching, so I'm trying to I'm trying to figure things out. For a while, I felt a little discouraged because it was a long process. I started looking for a job, and you send out a lot of these things. You send out hundreds maybe of applications, and most of them I didn't hear anything back on. So for a while, it was really hard. And while I was still teaching, I tried to keep up my learning. I tried to keep coding every day. I tried to do coding challenges and also trying things that were a little different or a little harder. I started learning about what an interview for a real job might look like, that I might need to do, a real coding problem or a real challenge in front of an interviewer. So I started trying to learn more about algorithms or more about some of those questions that I might get asked. I tried to practice those, even websites like LeetCode, where you're, just typing away and working on a problem. And eventually, I found something through a coworker, which was kind of funny. There was a co-teacher of mine that taught across the other classroom, and he knew that I was going through all this. He was a friend, and I told him about some of these things that I tried. And one day he popped in and said, "Hey, I have a really good friend, and I was talking to him at the bar the other day, and his company is looking for a QA, and
Yeah.
he said even I should look into that, even though I'm not going to, and I'm not prepared for that, but you should check him out." And that was the thing that eventually led to me getting a job. So yeah,
Which, I mean, we talk about networking all the time, right? I mean, that's another example of you can send hundreds of applications through LinkedIn and all those engines, right? You're going to have so much more in terms of percentage of success, so much more chance of getting a job through networking. So, how many interviews did you actually get before you got to that one interview for that QA position?
oh gosh, I think I only had a couple of other interviews, that maybe two or three. It wasn't very many. I didn't hear back on most of my applications, so I only got to try a couple of others, and those other ones I only got the first stage. So I would do the first one, and they seemed like they liked me pretty well, and then there's typically another stage,
Yeah.
and then by the time we were going to schedule that, it was, oh, we found someone else, or we decided we don't need this position, and that was hard.
And we'll get into the job that you got, but let's talk about the process still. How much time did it take you between the time you
Oh yeah.
graduated to the time you got the job? And actually,
It-
I'll look up your LinkedIn as well if you don't
Yeah.
remember precisely.
No, sure, go ahead. Let me see if I can remember, because I started in December of 2020, so I would have been done sometime in the spring of 2021
You
or the
graduated
summer.
in May.
Yeah, so May. I got a job the next February.
Yeah,
So
9 months, about 9
9
months.
months. Yeah.
Which I think that was kind of 6 to 9 months was typical at the time you got the job. I would say that's kind of the expectation that everyone should have right now. The job market is tougher, definitely, and so actually 9 months is a good time. So you talked about the ups. I mean, you talked about the ups of having that final interview and final job offer, but tell us about the downs. Like, what happened during those 9 months? Like, how did you process the rejection? What did you find things that you were doing differently that worked better, for example, or things like that?
Sure. Oh, that's a good question. I did take it hard. I don't know why, but I've always just been that kind of a person that has a tough time, when things aren't going the right way, and has a hard time, pushing myself to keep going. I had the support of my wife, which was wonderful. She continued to encourage me and continued to tell me to, not to give up and to keep looking for things. Another thing that this might be funny or interesting, but I started trying to tell more people. So I told my family members that I was doing this. I told some of my coworkers, which I was hesitant because I'm trying to get out of this field. But they were supportive of me as well, and they wanted to see me succeed. And I started telling my friends, and having people that I told made it more real and made it something that I felt maybe more responsible for continuing and having to do. I started, I ordered a book to start helping me prepare for interviews a little bit better. I would try to devote a little bit of time at least every day or every week so that I could keep learning. And just having something like that, just having a routine of some sort, and people that were going to ask me about it kept me kept me moving forward, at least, even though I was feeling a little bit rejected.
Yeah, no, that's tough. So you were really, finding strength in talking and the support of others, talking with others, the support of others.
Absolutely.
And kind of the same way you were looking for a structure and the support system by joining Nucamp. Telling others, kind of setting the expectation for yourself that not that you told, you better
Yeah,
deliver
exactly.
in a way, right?
I have to keep going on it.
Yeah.
Exactly.
That's right. And then again, right? You found that position through those contacts and that networking and that the relationship you built there. So let's talk about the position now.
Sure.
It's a QA software engineer position.
That's right.
QA testing. I'm a big proponent of those positions. They're known in the industry. If you look, in Microsoft, Google, it's SDET, SDTE, software developer test engineer, something like that. SDET, engineering test, software developer engineering test. I think that's what it is. Um, Tell us about what is it? What is that position about? What do you do? And um, yeah, and are you enjoying it as well?
Sure. First of all, I am enjoying it. I didn't know anything really about these kind of positions before I started learning about coding. Even before I looked into the job, I wasn't quite sure what it was going to be. But the software industry has all of these positions that support the developers. Not only are there people that are writing the code, but there are people that are managing the product and deciding on the next features that are going to be built, and people who are designing it, what that's going to look like. And there are people that have to test it. So every day I work with our developers. Sometimes I look at their code, not all the time. I don't do a ton of code reviews, but they have the things they're working on, and they put them into our staging environment. They put their code into our branch, and then I take time in our staging environment to test those things. Sometimes the developers know what it is that they want me to test, and other times it's just
Yeah.
wide open. Figure it out, go and test all the
Be a
things.
user. Be
Mhm.
the worst user you can be.
Yes.
Pretty
Try
much.
all the things,
Yeah.
especially in the wrong order, and
Yeah.
yeah. Do everything you can. And so it's my job to make sure that the code works correctly. And it turns out that that's a big job too, and it takes a lot of time. And I really started to understand why there's two positions. Whenever I'm making my own things, like I know how they're supposed to work because it works this way. I'm designing it that way. And it really takes another person in another mindset to try to go in and to break it really and to make it not work. So I do that, and I communicate back and forth with the developers all the time. I do just a small bit of code reviews, and also we have an automation QA engineer, and I work with him, and I do I dabble in some of the automation stuff that we do. But really, a lot of my job now is looking at how the code performs after it's been written. So
Oh, the
that's what
performance aspect of it as well now.
that too. Yeah, that's another part of the testing for me.
That's pretty cool. So if you were to do it all over again, would you take that job?
Yes, absolutely. I like it. My company is amazing. The people are awesome. It's been a great experience. I get to work from home now, something that has just really changed my life. I really love teaching, but like I said at the beginning, it drained me. It was so hard to continue after being around students every day and needing to attend to them and help them. Being at this new job has really made a big difference in my life. It's in a lot of ways. So
And the great news is, and we haven't talked about it too much, and we only have 2 minutes left. It's
no, I was
unbelievable.
looking. We're
But we
close.
haven't had the chance to talk about the fact that you came back as a teacher. So you're really in the best of both worlds right now, where you had your original passion as an educator, left for the world of tech, and now you're really bringing those two together. And I have to say, so I looked up your profile in our instructor database, and I saw, and I don't have it open anymore, but I remember now. So you've taught with us since 2021. I think it was, if my memory is correct, September 2021.
Yeah, yeah.
And your average rating is out of this world. It's a 4.88 out
Oh,
of
great.
5.
Thanks.
Like it doesn't get better, pretty much. I mean, it's pretty tough to get much better than that. How do you enjoy it now? So now that you're teaching others to code, what's the experience?
I love it. This is why I got into teaching, to be with people who want to learn and to try to help them through that process. I love it, and it's a great fit for me, I think. So I like working with those students and trying to encourage them. I think as we get to the end here, I would just maybe say for me the biggest part of the journey was trying to believe that I could do it the whole time. It was, I don't know why, I couldn't tell you, but I just couldn't get myself to believe that I really could do it. Not until it was happening, not until I had that interview and that phone call that said they were offering me the job, did I think it was really going to happen. I mean, up until that moment. And so for me, getting to be able to work with other students and to tell them, look, I'm just a guy, and I was able to do it, and you really can do it. I love that. It's
And you know what?
I
And
like to do it.
I can tell when you're talking about it, your passion really comes through big time. And of course, when you look at what students have to say about you in the classroom, they're really enjoying having you as their teacher and their inspiration as well. I want to answer some of those questions before we leave. I
Sure.
hope. Do you have a few minutes?
Yeah, I've got a couple
All
minutes.
right,
We can stay
let's
on.
actually go through those because there's a few questions for you and for Nucamp here. Dina is asking, do you have to register for backend first, or could you choose front end? The answer is you can totally choose front end as well. Let me actually do a demo. So what you're talking about, I think, is the complete software engineering path. And so when you want to take the full path, what's happening is we have those 4 boot camps presented in succession. And what you can do here is, I think at some point you're going to get that screen. And so that's where you can decide, hey, I want to go with Python first. I want to go with full stack first. And so by default, we present the backend. But then if I do full stack, you're going to register for full stack right after that. So that's pretty much how it works. I hope that was helpful, Dina. And now we have another question. Oh, yeah. So Esteban asked, what is the best resource to learn data structures and algorithm? I'm going to give my answer, and then I want you to give yours, David. Our backend with Python, the first 5 weeks is all about data structure and algorithms based on using Python. So that's one way. But at the time, we didn't have it for you. So how did you learn data structures and algorithm?
Well, I'm going to say your answer is probably the best, because the way I went through those things is just from everywhere. You know, I went here and there, and I Googled this and that, and YouTubed here and there, and tried to piece things together. And that's a lot harder to do that way. So I would recommend the Nucamp class.
Cool. And let me actually also, there was another question, there you go. I wonder if you can retake or audit some of the Nucamp courses to review content. And then there's Shrug that's starting to answer. Let me give you also kind of the official answer, I will say. Every graduate has access to the bootcamp that they're registered for life. So all like David, if you wanted to go back to the React course and now learn hooks instead of Redux, you'll be able to do that. The thing that you cannot do for free is joining a class with an instructor. So if you want to have the full experience, you know, the start date, end date, having your workshops reviewed and graded again, having the support of an instructor, then you have to pay again to re-register in some ways. But otherwise, the content is available, you know, forever. And then there was a question from Shrugberg as well. How did you get to become an instructor after a few months, actually, after graduating?
That's a good question. And part of it was just working and learning and knowing that this might be a good fit for me. I thought, this is something I want to try out. I really want to add this to my skill set, to my resume. And this is something I think I really want to do and I want to connect with. I had a really good and positive experience with Nucamp, and I wanted to stay connected. And I really wanted to share my experience with others and be able to teach some of the things that I had learned. So I tried, and I was very fortunate that you guys let me in to do that.
Well, I think we were fortunate to have you back as well, and your students as well. I have to say it's quite exceptional. I think you probably can count on both hands the number of instructors that we have who used to be students with us. We actually love having them back, and so typically what we look is, you know, all the qualities of being a great student. And then having, you know, the qualities of really wanting to help others. And sometimes you actually see that in people as they are learning themselves and as they are students. Oftentimes they're going to be the ones helping others, you know, on the chats in the community server. And usually if those actually really do well and come back to us and say, hey, can I try? We'll be very much more interested in giving a shot. And yes, we have Anuja here who's saying Anuja was probably instrumental in bringing you over. So that's Anuja. Thanks. Is actually in charge of instructor recruitment here.
Well, I'm really happy to be here.
All right, hey David, thank you for staying a few minutes later.
Absolutely.
The sun is gone. I think I cannot.
Yeah, no, I got to turn the light on in here.
Yeah, it's dark. it was a real pleasure to have you on the show for this special episode, the 50th episode. It's been a year, almost a year that we've done that, and we're going to continue to do it. It's very much enjoyable, especially with quality guests like you. Um, Congratulations for everything that you've
Thank you.
done, for your tenacity. I mean, you really spent a good many years learning on your own, then joining a coding boot camp, then spending 9 months grinding to get to your new career. But here you are, and everyone is really appreciative of your help and you telling your story to this audience. So again,
Thanks.
thank you so much.
You
And
bet.
I have one last thing, which is an outro video as well. So
Oh,
I was fortunate
respect.
to be provided with not only an intro video, but now we're gonna go for the outro video and wrap this one. Okay,
Perfect.
let me see. Look at this. Oh, it's gone. No. Oh yeah.
Oop,
Oh, hold on. I
we
need to
had
do
it.
it again.
There it
There you
is.
go. You ready?
Ah,
All right. Bye, David.
thank you so much for having me.
See you,
Bye
everyone.
bye.